You know you also love him.
Hey, welcome to part 2 of Why I Love Aegon. In part 1, I gave 5 reasons. He played the faith, he was an awesome grandpa, his loyalty to his wives, knew how to pass and wield power, and may have come to Westeros to save them from the future threat of the others.
This video, I want to talk about 5 more reasons why I absolutely love Aegon the Conqueror. And then, hopefully I'll be able to combine parts 1 and 2 and release that. Oh, and I guess I have to put this warning again. Throughout this video, I refer to Aegon's kingdom as the Seven Kingdoms. Despite him only conquering 6 of the 7 kingdoms, he never conquered Dorne. This is just the typical terminology that George uses, so I'm going to use too. If you don't agree with that or you're confused why I'm saying that, I already made a video explaining why they called Aegon King of the 7 Kingdoms, so I don't know, just watch that. It's not really that big of a deal.
Okay, number 1, brought peace to the 7 kingdoms.
Maesters agree that Aegon's rule after the conquest was one of mostly peace. You know, after he murdered those thousands and thousands of men. Actually, one of my favorite lines from the Maesters is,
"Yet if the Dragon Kings are considered solely on the basis of their legacies, the laws and institutions and improvements they left behind, the name of King Aegon I belongs near the top of the list."
Many people want to say over and over again that Aegon was a bloody tyrant that killed thousands and thousands of people. Which, maybe they're right. He did kill a lot of people in excruciating ways. But that tyrant that just left a lot of women widowed also brought peace to the 7 kingdoms.
See, before the conquest, the 7 kingdoms were a total mess. Just a total mess. Wars between the realms were such a common occurrence that seldom a year passed without someone fighting someone, somewhere. Even when a kingdom was at peace with another, it wasn't rock solid, and neighboring lords often settled disputes with swords.
Aegon taking control of the 7 kingdoms put an end to a lot of bloodshed. After his own bloodshed.
Petty lords and landed knights now didn't settle disputes with just murdering the shit out of each other. Now they had to take their disputes to their liege lords and abide by their judgments. And those arguments between the great houses that often led to war were now instead taken to the crown that settled the matter for them. In fact, Aegon decreed in his new knitted realm, "The first law of the land shall be the king's peace, and any lord who goes to war without my leave shall be considered a rebel and an enemy of the Iron Throne."
So Aegon haters, I think you owe him an apology, even if he did brutally murder your entire family. Perhaps most telling of how much peace Aegon brought to the 7 kingdoms is this quote from a maester.
"The Iron Throne was forged with fire and steel and terror, it is said. But once the throne had cooled, it became the seat of justice for all Westeros." It was said the reconciliation of the 7 kingdoms to the Targaryen rule, and therefore keeping peace in the realm, was the keystone of Aegon's policies.
He also kept the peace by allowing his people to see him. See, Aegon felt that it was better to forestall a rebellion than having to put it down. And in order to do that, he'd make royal progresses for half the year. He believed that a glimpse of himself with his dragon, Balerion the Black Dread, and attended by hundreds of knights would instill further loyalty in restless lords. Which you may argue isn't really him bringing peace to the 7 kingdoms, but a result of him conquering the 7 kingdoms, but hang in there, I'm getting to it. Just give this old chunk of coal the benefit of the doubt. He also believed that the small folk needed to see their king and queens from time to time and know that they had a chance to lay their grievances and concerns before him. See, helping people feel included and ensuring less small folk and lesser lords rebelled through listening. Super awesome guy. Don't you deny it. He made sure to include men, and even a few women, from every part of the realm in his courts and councils as well. This had the benefit of not only making them feel included in Aegon's new kingdom, but gave them the chance to work and grow closer with lords from other realms. So yeah, he did a lot to keep peace in his newly knitted together realm, but he also worked really hard to make sure all the different kingdoms he had now pieced together got along with each other, which was really important because these kingdoms had been warring with each other for thousands and thousands of years.
To further knit them closer, in King's Landing he urged them to think of themselves as leal subjects and not Stormlanders, Northmen, or Westermen. On top of that, he and his wives arranged many marriages between noble houses to increase the benevolence between the former kingdoms. His hope was the alliances between these noble houses would help bring his conquered lands closer together and make the Seven Kingdoms one.
So say what you want about a guy that burned tons of people alive or caused them to drown while they burned alive. Jesus, I'm not helping my point, am I? But thanks to his dynasty, the Seven Kingdoms saw a fraction of the wars and bloodshed that they would have seen.
This plays into number 2, left traditions in place. When Aegon made his royal progresses for half of the year to visit his new people, he would hold court where he traveled, sometimes from a daze in some lord's castle, and other times on a mossy stone in a farmer's field. And here's what I love about that. Well, besides visiting all over the realm you just conquered is kinda cool. But what I really love is that during these courts, he didn't trample on their customs already in place. Instead, he traveled to learn about the Seven Kingdoms and its people because he knew each conquered kingdom had its own laws and traditions. Maesters agree that he did little to interfere with those and allowed his lords to continue to rule as much as they always had, with the same powers and privileges. Maybe just not the same titles. In fact, he traveled with 6 maesters that answered any questions he had about the local customs, history, and laws. That way he could make judgments with concern to that area's specifics in mind. Yeah, he wasn't so prideful or egotistical to make his word absolute, without regard for others and their history. Now, he did make some decrees, but when he did, it was after discussion with maesters, and he was sure to have it recorded so he didn't go back on what he said or alter it unfairly. So Aegon smartly allowed the laws of succession and inheritance to stay the same, allowed the existing feudal structures to be confirmed and remain, allowed small and great lords to retain the power of the pit and gallows on their own land, and even allowed the privilege of First Knight where the custom existed.
Guy knew how to keep the peace. Well, I guess there wasn't much peace for those women that probably didn't like their liege lord having sex with them on their wedding night to their husband. Small steps. Hey, number 3! He wasn't afraid of single combat.
Okay, really think about this. The guy is conquering kingdoms and has dragons, and an ever-increasing army, and he was still open to single combat to win battles.
He didn't need to do one-on-one fights. Fuck you, I have a dragon. But he did. That takes balls and courage. 2 things? 3 things I actually like.
My favorite example was during his conquest of Dorne when he came to Ghost Hill. There, what he thought was Lord Toland's champion was sent out to challenge Aegon to single combat. Again, guy has a dragon. He knows he can burn the Dornish castles, which he did do, but instead he risked everything for single combat.
If he were to have died in single combat, that would have ruined everything. And yeah, that is a little bit different than fighting in a battle, because in a lot of battles, he was actually on his dragon. So major points to Aegon, because I don't think his sister wives could have held together the realm had he died. And you may say that's a weird thing to love about the guy, but damn was he confident, and oh, I love that. Oh yeah, I should add to that it turned out not to be the guy's champion, but his fool, but still, Aegon didn't know that, so that's still impressive. Don't take that away from him. You petty fuck.
We would see even after his initial war and he already had a bunch of kingdoms, he would still go out and fight, such as when he went to the Iron Islands to iron out their issues. Alright, number 4, he could swallow his pride.
Aegon tried to bring Dorne into his 7 kingdoms, but as we know, he failed. But before he brought his whole fire and blood to the region, he actually tried words.
For about a year, Aegon attempted to win Dorne to his side and to fold them into the realm with words, sending High Lords, Septons, and Maesters to Sunspear to treat with Princess Miriam Martell. These men were sent with words about the advantages of Dorne joining the realm.
When that was unsuccessful, he then brought fire and blood, which I know probably isn't helping my point, because it resulted in a lot of death and tragedy and even the loss of his favorite sister wife. So after being owned repeatedly by the Dornish and even losing his favorite sister wife to them, he accepted peace from them and even decided to feast with them after all of that. Yeah, imagine that. Dude pushed his ego way aside.
After offering them peace, Aegon accepted the independence of Dorne and flew out to Sunspear on Balerion on the 10th anniversary of the peace accords to celebrate a feast of friendship with the current reigning princess of Dorne. Some more prideful lords or kings would have simply ignored them, not wanting a reminder of his failure and loss of his wife. But not Aegon. Of course, maybe he thought eventually by being nice to Dorne and keeping dialogue open, they'd join, but still awesome to see a king able to swallow his pride to maintain open communication. Good on you, Aegon. Finally, number 5, inspired his descendants.
There's something about being an inspiration to others that is so beautiful.
Yeah, so maybe some of that inspiration led to some dumb shit, like Daeron I trying to conquer Dorne, but Aegon's conquest, his rule, his treatment of others, and his wives continue to give his future descendants wisdom and guidance. Like Jaehaerys I, he remembered that Aegon I had said that the small folk needed to see their kings and queens from time to time so they could lay their grievances before them. This pushed Jaehaerys to go on royal progresses again, despite fear of how the realm may respond to him marrying his sister and after his douchebag uncles and terrible rule, and to be in front of the small folk once more. This helped further solidify him as king of the realm and make his rule on the Iron Throne one of mostly peace.
And we would continue to see his family looking back on him throughout history with admiration and pride. That says a lot that hundreds of years later, your family still looks back at you and goes, damn, he was a great husband, leader, ruler, conqueror. I want to be like him. You go, Aegon. You lovable bastard, you. Okay, so those are my reasons for loving Aegon. I'm not a psychic, but I can guess I've riled a few people up in my comment section on this video. And to those people that I've riled up, I just want you to know, like, subscribe, and come back for more videos.